So the tune he's just played there is a famous Scottish lament for the fallen. That's called Flowers of the Forest. It was originally penned in the 1500s after the devastating Battle of Culloden, which was fought in England just over the border, where nearly 17,000 Scots were killed in about 2 hours. So that is the famous Flower of the Forest, which is still played to this very day as a lament for Scottish military dead. So, very poignant and very appropriate for what happened on this field. Because Culloden is not just a battlefield, ladies and gentlemen, it is also a war grave. Now, in the 40 minutes of fighting that lasted here, nearly 2,000 Jacobites were killed or wounded. Now, we can't actually say how many of those men were killed during the fighting and how many were killed afterwards. Because many of them were wounded, and the British Army made its way across the field after battle, under orders to show no mercy, no quarter, and no survivors. Any wounded Jacobite found still alive in this field was not to be helped according to the rules of war. He was treated as a traitor and a rebel to the British state, and basically shot or buried on the spot. Now, the bodies of the Jacobites were then gathered up and buried in mass graves. There are graves all across the field, but the vast majority of the graves can be found in this small area here. Approximately 100 to 200 people buried in each of them. Now, that is not just men, that will also include women and children. The youngest Jacobite ever recorded fighting here was a mere 12 years old. Many of the women were what's known as camp followers. These are wives, girlfriends, and family members who followed the Jacobites around during the rebellion. Or, unfortunately, citizens of Inverness who just happened to get caught up in the fighting. They lay to rest here as well. Now, in the years and decades after Culloden, as Prince Charles and the Jacobites disappear into myth and legend, they become highly romanticised. Now, in the height of the Victorian era in the 1880s, about 140 years after the battle, to honour and remember what happened here on this field, the Victorians will have this constructed. This tower-esque structure over here is the memorial cairn. It is built to honour and remember the fallen Jacobites who fell on this field. At the same time, the clan headstones you can see around us, Clan Cameron's example just behind me, these are also put up to mark some of the Highland clans that fought here. Now, while you may imagine that only members of that particular clan are buried in that particular grave, Clan Cameron in the Cameron grave, Clan Fraser in the Fraser grave, so on, well, that's a very romantic idea to imagine they're all buried together as a clan. As it probably dawned you by now, it's not the case. The cold hard reality is, not only did these headstones go up 140 years after the battle, but on the day itself, the British Army did not organise the fallen Highlanders by clan. Not to mention, it was not just Highlanders fighting here for the Jacobites. There were Welshmen, Irishmen and Englishmen, all fighting here alongside the Highlanders, part of the Jacobite army, and thus they are all buried here as well, side by side. What these headstones do allow, however, is it allows the descendants of the men who fought here a place to come on pilgrimage and pay their respects to fallen ancestors. Culloden gets nearly 300,000 visitors a year. The vast majority come solely to this gravesite. Such as the emotion and poignancy, it still drags people to this very day. Now, we're going to head back towards the visitor centre now, pick up our stories concerning the British Army's casualties and what will happen to the Highlands and to their people as a consequence of the battle. So, right this way,
Ave Maria, whole thing's amazing gross.